News, views, voices of the global Indian community. India abroad.
It's great to be back in a city that I'm familiar with. Washington, Desi is a place that you find very useful to connect with people to get not only a global perspective, but also, impressions on how they see the relationship proceeding. I have met a lot of my friends, not just in the realm of politics, both Democrats and Republicans, but also at the official level, business level, academic levels, community levels. So I've got a reasonable perspective in the short time that I've been here. And I think there is a lot of optimism in the relationship. I mean, one common thread that runs through many of my conversations is that the relationship has really matured. And over the last 10 years, we have taken such significant strides that the larger relationship is what matters. Between two vibrant democracies, there are bound to be certain issues that arise from time to time. But I think we should not lose sight of the larger picture, which is a global level partnership, strategic and comprehensive partnership between our two countries. Prime Minister Modi's visit to the United States last year was a landmark visit, which has been commented on extensively. But we have taken significant strides there also. For example, we signed the initiative on technology and strategic and critical issues. And of course, we also concluded the deal on the supply of the GA engine for our light combat aircraft, which I think was a departure from previous levels of cooperation where cutting-edge technologies were not on the list. So today, I think we have surmounted also another barrier. So there's been a lot of progress in the relationship, and I think there's an appreciation for India as a rising power, as a country that is today the fastest growing large economy in the world, and a country that has provided so much, has contributed so much to the US economy, both through the diaspora, consisting of people in technical fields, in highly competent individuals, but also in terms of trade, investments, the relationship which has grown exponentially in the last 10 years. So I think from every perspective, the view of India is a very, very positive one. The view of the relationship is one that everybody would like to see endure. And I think there is a lot of respect for the fact that Prime Minister Modi has displayed a level of leadership which has actually not only contributed to global peace and security, but also a sense of how countries can work together to surmount some of our major problems, as evidenced under the G20 and other areas where India took the lead, and how India's rise can contribute also to the global economy, which is in everyone's interest, including the United States. Well, something that I heard from a number of our friends is that Prime Minister, the relationship first of all is driven at the highest levels. In America, you have an executive presidency. In India, you have a Prime Minister with a very clear-cut mandate. And Prime Minister Modi has had an excellent rapport with three successive presidents of the United States. President Obama, President Trump, and now President Biden. And at every level, I think the relationship has moved exponentially forward. You would recall that we had the first Quad meeting under President Biden, and when Prime Minister Modi came to Washington in September 2021, there has been very few issues of a global nature, whether it's climate change, sustainable development, political issues like Afghanistan, where India has not been consulted, and India is not part of that, discussion to shape the outcomes. So on all levels, I think there has been an appreciation of the leadership that has been displayed, and certainly I think that contribution is one that is very much talked about. Prime Minister Modi is one of the few heads of state or government that have been invited not just once but twice to address a joint sitting of the Congress, including last year. A very rare honor given to global leaders, and I think his views are definitely sought after and definitely contributing to an impression of a country that is a close partner of the United States, but also a partner that is contributing greatly to the relationship and our common strategic interests on a global basis. So, as I said, I think it's important for us to focus on the larger relationship and to keep that momentum going. I think we have achieved a lot in the relationship, and you will always have issues that would be raised between two democracies. I mean, I'm not saying that many of the issues raised were in any way justified. I think we can question both the timing as well as the content. But the fact of the matter is that there is a larger partnership out there that is both bilateral and global in nature that is to be pursued. And many of the people I spoke to, some of whom who are part of the administration, have felt that nothing is going to affect the larger relationship. Nothing will affect the momentum we've achieved, and I think there is a certain amount of clarity in the minds of those who take policy decisions in the U.S. that the larger relationship between India and the United States is one that is too important to be affected by any issues that could arise in the normal course of such an extensive bilateral discourse. Well, I mean, as someone who's seen, who has a comparative view, a perspective of a country that at one stage, was not taken seriously, was seen associated more with exotica. And today, I think the sort of respect that we command, and I would say not just, people who represent India, but every Indian who represents his country in any manner, whether he is in business or he is a tourist or he is in academia, when he goes abroad, people see him with a different lens. And that is because I think significant amount of, a sense of contribution that India has made to the global stage. In the US, of course, people associate us with high technology, associate us with a country that is a rising power, a growing economy. The Prime Minister himself mentioned that when he addressed the joint sitting of both houses of Congress, of both houses, when he said that when I came before you a few years ago, we were the 10th largest economy in the world. And today we are the 5th largest economy in the world. So I think that itself is a statement of the sort of change that India is going through on account of firm leadership, clarity in policy, steps that the government has taken to take our country forward, and of course our contribution, as I said, to the global stage. There's a lot of respect for India, and that is the first difference that is there. And how we contributed to that? We have tried to shape the global narrative today. Earlier we were responding to initiatives taken by others. Today we are shaping the narrative under Prime Minister Modi's leadership. Take the G20, the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. Permeated the entire G20 at a time of geopolitical differences. Russia-Ukraine conflict, the Middle East conflagration, all of this, the concept that we have, the philosophical concept, encompasses the global approach to dealing with such divisions. If you work together, you will succeed. If you are divisive, then the human race will definitely have to face the consequences of issues like conflict, climate change, sustainable development or lack of it. All of these issues are there. Indebtedness of countries are going through a lot of difficulty. How can we address those issues? So India's approach to shaping the global narrative through concepts like yoga, International Year of Millets as a super food of the future, lifestyle for environment, the Prime Minister's thinking, and our effort at not only strengthening ourselves to an Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, but also using that strength to help others. Prime Minister's concept of human-centric globalization, working for the global common good, is something that countries have sat up and taken notice of, whether it is sharing our indigenously produced vaccines or medicines that we had, or allowing countries to participate in our successful experience with digital public infrastructure, providing direct benefit transfers, benefiting the vast number of underprivileged people, bringing 250 million people up from poverty levels to the ranks of the middle class. All of this is seen by people from the developing world also. Incidentally, I've also met many representatives of in the financial side, the World Bank and other areas. All of them talk about our own contribution, that when we look at growing, we don't look at other countries, we look at India. India is the prime example of a country that has grown based on its homegrown policies, based on its own solutions to challenges. And if there is any country that can provide solutions to global challenges, it's India. And we have proved it during the G20, we have proved it during interactions, we have proved it by the fact that the Prime Minister is not only invited to global conferences on issues of importance to the world at large, but also in terms of countries seeking his opinion on issues of importance. So I think today, in every way that you can look at it, we have instilled a sense of a country that is contributing to the world, a country that has come of age, and as the Prime Minister says that today it is Bharat's time. It is a foreign policy that is Bharat first, and that has made the difference. Our citizens abroad anywhere know that if they're in trouble, your country will help you out of that situation. Whether it is evacuating 22,000 students who are in conflict areas in Ukraine, or whether it is providing consular services to people in difficult areas, we have made sure that there is no Indian left behind. We have made sure that our foreign policy is all inclusive, and we have made sure that our citizens come first and Bharat first, and that's the policy of Prime Minister Modi. Of course, I was Foreign Secretary when the Ukraine conflict broke out, and when we found that we had 22,000 students in Ukraine, many of whom were in the areas of Kharkiv and Sumy, which at that time were conflict zones, continue to be, but at that time they were in the midst of this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And the Prime Minister not only took stock of the situation on a daily basis, every evening all of us concerned went and briefed him. He got a complete situation report of what was happening, and then he himself gave directions about what should be the broad policy framework under which we should act. His leadership and his guidance is what made the difference, that we could bring 22,000 of our students back from conflict zones in Ukraine when we could have lost so many of our students. And so I think the PM's leadership, leading from the front. I mean, can you imagine the Prime Minister giving so much of his time on a daily basis to address an issue that involved our own youths, our own young people, our own citizens? And I think that is something which is quite extraordinary. Honestly, I've never seen anything like it. And I think that instance of the importance that the Prime Minister ascribes to his own people, the importance he ascribes to a Bharat First policy, is something that all of us are proud of today. Every citizen in India is proud of today. And what we need is a mandate for a clear and continuous leadership that can take the decisions that will take Bharat to a Viksit Bharat stage by 2047. The young people, which is the majority of country, the youth of our country, expect that. And they will provide a mandate to the leadership that will bring them the best opportunities and take us to a situation we have never even dreamt of, being a developed country in every sense of the word. Whether it's women-led development, whether it is economic development, whether it is socio-economic development, whether it's environmental development, I think we are a country on the move, and the mandate that we give our leadership and our Prime Minister will be very, very critical in this regard. I think so. I think in the US itself, I got an impression even from people in the administration that they would certainly like to see a clear mandate that would make not only India a stronger economic power, but one that can contribute to global, I mean, if we are 1/6 of humanity and we are doing well, then everybody else will also do well. It will contribute to an upsurge in the global economy. So everybody is conscious of that. And the US as a very close partner country, I think believes that India's growth will also be to the advantage of the United States. Well, let's put it this way, a clear mandate in which the people of India, especially the young people of India, the youth of India, vote to make sure that there is a decisive mandate given to our leadership to take the country forward on the path that it has taken over the last 10 years. We are now on the critical takeoff stage, and the next 5 years will be critical in shaping the next 1,000 years in the way India develops. So it's a very, very important stage. It's a very critical stage, and everybody who has to exercise their mandate, from now till the end of our election period, has to be cognizant of that factor. I was aware of it when I went and cast my vote. I think everybody who's voted would have taken that into account, and who was going to vote over the next two phases will also keep that in mind, that you have to have a leadership, you have to have a government that is not only sensitive to the interests of the people, but also one that is capable of taking you to the goals that you yourself are looking for, which is, as I said, a developed country. And every individual's interest is protected. That means every citizen of India will grow under that leadership. That is the sort of future that we all want to look for. And the consequence of not having that is also very serious, because it will take us not 20 years, it may take us 50 years back. After all, look at the economic development. Infrastructure itself in the last 10 years has exceeded the last 60 years of whatever development has taken place in developing infrastructure in our country. The poorest of the poor, how the state has provided for their benefits, whether it is through the free ration scheme, whether it is through free medical and health insurance, whether it's through provision of electricity, water in rural areas, whether it is through a sanitation program, whether it is through development of education for the girl child or women-led development, in every area, the progress has been unimaginable. And if you want to continue that progress, you have to make sure that you go out and use your power, the ability of your individual vote to make that difference. Well, we live in a very uncertain world. As I mentioned, there are at least two major conflicts raging as we speak. Nobody could imagine conflict in the heart of Europe. The Middle East conflict threatens to become a regional and maybe even a global conflagration. Other conflicts may break out. And we have to be at the forefront of ensuring that in all of this, our diplomacy is adroit. Our diplomacy continues to be the way it has been. We have been, I think, very successful in ensuring that we have followed our own dictates, our own interests, and in any issue, whether it's the Ukraine conflict, even the Middle East conflict. And we are cognizant of the fact that we have to contribute to making the world a better place. So Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is the guiding principle. And human-centric globalization provides the basis for a better world, a better future, one in which peace and security is more assured than what we have today. The development of people across the world is also moving at a pace that is satisfactory. And I think, as I said, our example is the best one. I mean, we can provide by example, we can lead by example, and that's what Prime Minister Modi is doing. Our country is the fastest growing economy. Our country is providing benefits to the people based on our own paradigm, our own models, as I said, direct benefits transfer, digital public infrastructure. All of this and financial inclusion is one that we can help the rest of the world with, especially the global south, the developing world. And that's what our foreign policy is geared to do and will do. It has done so in the past 10 years, will do so in the future. I have no doubt about that. As I said, the concept of a developed country is comprehensive overall development. Economic development is an important part of that, but that's not the only one. I've talked about women-led development. It's also development on the environmental front, mitigating the consequences of climate change, ensuring that nobody is left behind. So when we talk about becoming a developed, a Viksit Bharat by 2047, it is inclusive and sustainable development. And the framework for that is already there. You've got a united market in the form of GST. Revenue collection has increased because you have a fast-growing economy. You've been able to control inflation because of good policies, including on your energy front. And you've been able to use all that for the collective good of the people of India. So you are fostering inclusive development by ensuring that every individual in India is covered by food security, is covered by medical insurance, is covered by subsidized LPG, is covered by subsidized rural electrification, water in their houses. All of this is a sea change. And I think that process has to continue. And our country has to continue growing, not only in economic terms, but in infrastructure development, in policies that can streamline economic development. And I have no doubt that in the next phase of government, we will see policies that will take that exponentially forward.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lala.